On guys, all right, we have a AFC and NFC East mock draft to do tonight. We got some great guests, so stay tuned.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show Podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on goingfor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, goingfor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What's going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 150 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Presented as always by goingfor2.com, and we are live every Tuesday night on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Periscope. I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. Man, Ryan, how you doing tonight?
Good. Mine is just getting sniped in a draft a few minutes ago, but other than that, pretty awesome. Excited for the Scott Fish Bowl. Glad to see a bunch of our friends got in.
Yes.
A bunch of guys on the site. That's more exciting than getting in yourself, I feel like.
100% agree with that. Yeah, I was excited to see those guys get in too. So just real quick with that snipe, you got to tell everybody how bad that snipe was. So
I'm in a 2014 league. I've been waiting for days because I haven't picked since the first round because I had two first and traded out. I had 80-some picks before I've gone. I had three guys lined up, and they went 1, 2, 3 right in front of me. ending with Justin Jefferson, who was the main one I wanted.
That sucks.
It was him, Deebo Samuel, and I can't remember the other one. But I was sick about it.
That's the worst. It's one thing to get sniped, but to get sniped, basically with 3 straight picks is kind of crazy. All right. Also joining us tonight, we got a returning guest. I'm not even going to try to do his last name this time. I butchered it last time. We're just going to call him by his nickname, Jay Batts. He is, of course, the host of the FTLS Podcast. You could follow him on Twitter. What is it? FTLS_John, right?
FTLS_Jay Batts.
Jay Batts. Gotcha. Jay Batts, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you doing?
Not too
Just
bad,
got out
man.
of work, so I get to crack a beer and hang out, talk some fantasy football. Life is great.
Life is great. Good stuff. All right, and also joining us tonight's first-time guest. I went on his show about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. On his show, it was really great. Decided to have him on the show, Joe Bond of the Fantasy Six Pack Podcast. You can follow him at F6P_Joe. Joe, man, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. Not too often I get a second night away to talk some fantasy football or anything without the kids and the wife around to bug me. But glad to be here, drinking my beer.
Good stuff.
Hanging out with you guys, man.
Good stuff. Yeah, you got to stay on brand. When you got a podcast called the Fantasy Six Pack, you got to bring beer to the show.
Absolutely, man.
Good stuff. All right, and in case y'all haven't noticed, behind John there is a Patriots jersey, and then of course you see Joe there with his Redskins shirt on. So we got the NFC and the AFC East represented well here. We're going to do a mock draft style division previews tonight. Basically, we're going to go through and draft a 2-round mock draft with only players from a certain division and kind of do a preview of them. We'll kind of do it from a super flex standpoint, so the quarterbacks will have some value as well. So we're going to do that in just a quick minute here. But before we do that, I want to give John and Joe a quick chance to kind of plug their show and talk about anything they want to talk about. So Joe, we'll go to you first since you're the new one here.
All right, yeah. So we record usually around 9 o'clock on Thursdays. We're not live yet. We're working on it. Thanks to Jeff here, trying to get it going. But yeah, we're kicking into our draft season coverage. We just did our first show last week where we talked about Raz Bowl and Scott Fish Bowl. This coming Thursday, we're doing our division previews.
Nice.
Starting this Thursday and for the next few weeks, and then some consistency stuff with Bob Long and that kind of stuff. So to be a long few months, but it'll be good times.
Good stuff. Yeah, Bob Lung's a great guest. We had him on his show a couple of times before.
Yeah, man, he's awesome.
He's awesome. All right, John, man.
Consistency guide right here, actually.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. It is a must.
Yeah,
total must.
Definitely,
it really is.
Definitely. So, John, give us your show, FTLS. Tell us what it stands for, first of all, because it's the abbreviation. Everybody knows what it means.
Yeah, FTLS, for the love of Sundays. It's named after our home league that we do. It's why we joke around all the time and say it's a lifestyle, not a brand, but it is. I mean, if you love Sundays, you love football, you love hanging out with your buds, it's usually family time, grilling, doing all those different things, and that's kind of what we are and what we represent, and sort of what the podcast is all about. It's just loving Sundays, and everything that comes along with it. Lately, what we've been doing, we actually just started a new series that I'm excited about called Roster Doctors. And what we've been doing is people have been submitting their rosters to us and then sort of their goals for 2020. And we'll dissect them and see what moves they should make, maybe where they're weak, where they're strong, stuff like that. And so it's kind of fun. We always talk about roster construction on the show and how it's a huge piece to winning a championship. It's not just your draft. So this is our way of basically getting very individualized and helping people with their roster construction. It's been fun. We're on, usually in the off season, we go to 2 shows a week. So we've been doing those. We're on the 3rd one. So we're in like 2 weeks of doing this. It's been great.
Nice. Yeah, I actually checked out one of those just recently. It was a kind of a crazy format, and this guy, I think it was they had to start 3 running backs, and they had 2 flex positions, and he only drafted 3 running backs. I was like, yeah, you got to get more than that.
Dude, it was crazy. And then this new one that we have that's going to be releasing soon is a contract league, which was really fun to sort of break into a contract league and discuss what it's like having, to extend guys and trading with contracts, implications and all these different things. And it was just a whole nother wrinkle and a whole nother layer that was fun. And I'm sure a lot of people aren't used to that. If you do redraft or dynasty is kind of the main formats, but contract leagues are really fun, and you get you a little bit closer to that, like true GM status where you're really GMing a team and figuring it out. How long should I extend a guy? Should I trade this guy because I can't re-sign him? And it was fun. It was really cool.
My first one went under after the first year. The commish set up too many of them, and it was awesome. I lost to John Lobb in the championship of it. Then the league went under. It was very upsetting.
If you're going to lose to someone, lose to John.
I'm trying to convince the FTLS boys to maybe turn us into a contract league, because we're in this weird hybrid dynasty league where we keep 4 guys, no penalty. It's a keeper league, no penalty. And you kind of build a core and go around there, and you're allowed to keep a guy for 3 years. So I kind of said, I'm like, dude, we're almost at a contract league as it is. Like, we should just kind of do it. But the boys are much chagrin. They really don't love change.
It's really hard to change your home league, because I've been working on my home league has been around since '98. So you're going on a ton of years here. We went dynasty about 5 years ago. And I've been trying to kill the kicker for the last literally 5 or 6 years. We finally got the vote through this year. We finally got it through. We killed the kicker. I was so happy we added an extra flex, so I got my way finally.
Nice.
All right, so real quick, I know everybody's tuning in because they want to see who won the Scott Fishbowl entry. We will give that away eventually during this podcast. But so we got that contest is ending tonight, and we are starting a new contest starting tonight. Our new sponsor is busr.com, and with that sponsorship, it is basically a sports book. It is an what's the word I'm looking for? Offshore sports book, so it's legal in all 50 states. We're giving away this week a $250 fully funded account to bet on that sports book just in time for the Belmont Stake, which is really big. So all you got to do is, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see a tweet pinned to my top of my profile there. Just you retweet it, follow me, and register for a new account on BUSR, and we'll pick one random person to give $250 to that you can go and bet, and then if turn that money into something else. If you're good at betting horse races, they do NASCAR, they got MMA. Of course, when NBA comes back, they'll have NBA, they'll have NFL. So really great contest, guys. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's get into the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, not a whole lot going on right now as far as notes. So we'll just do these really quick so we can get to these mock drafts, because this might take a little while. The one that I want to bring up here has been kind of out for a little while. It's been talked about, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the show yet. And Ryan, I want your thoughts on this one with the Dalvin Cook potential holdout. Just kind of give your thoughts on, if you're doing a draft, today, what are you doing with Dalvin Cook?
If I'm doing it today, I don't think I'm changing much of it. The fact is that team needs him on that offense right now. They lost Diggs. They're not really loaded. I love Justin Jefferson and Thielen. That's not enough for that offense. And you're going to put that all on Madison. I just don't buy it. I think they'll give in. And he only wants 13, which really is not that bad for what he's produced when he's been healthy. I'm going to have some confidence in for now. If we get closer to the season, it's going to change. Like right now, I'm 90% confident he'll play. That could change as the weeks go on, though.
All right. John, I want to ask you, because I know you talked about this a little bit on one of your podcasts just recently. Is now this time to sell Madison if you have him, because he's got that little bit of hype there? Is this time to sell him right now while he's, sell high?
I would. If I owned him in a dynasty league, he is certainly someone that I'm reaching out to the Cook owner, and I'm gonna let him know that Madison is on offer. I don't know what you can get for him because I think people are sorting the initial buzz of Cook wants to hold out. Everyone freaked out. Now they're reading into it a little bit more, and like you said, he's looking for $13 million. It's a realistic number, and so now the holdout's not looking as sort of pressing. But I still would try and trade Madison. It's the highest his value is going to be, short of a Dalvin Cook injury. So yeah, I always try and sell high when I can.
Good stuff. And Joe, quick, give us your thoughts on Dalvin Cook. Then I want to ask you about the Eagles guard that got injured today, since you're an NFC East guy. Brandon Brooks tears his ACL, kind of a big blow to the offensive line. Give us your thoughts on that and what it does for guys like Miles Sanders and Carson Wentz.
Yeah, so quick on the Cook thing. I agree with Ryan. Like, I'm not really buying into he's going to actually hold out. I mean, he initially came out and said he wanted 15, and he's like, well, you know what? I'll take 13. Like, all right, this isn't real, guys. Like, he's gonna negotiate with you. So I'm not as stressed about this one as I have in years past with other guys. As far as Brandon Brooks, man, this is massive. I mean, they already lost. I'm blanking on his name now. Big offensive lineman for last year.
Peters,
yeah, thank you, Jason Peters. So Brooks is out. I mean, this hurts everybody on the offense. Honestly, this is gonna hurt Wentz. It's gonna hurt the receivers. It's gonna hurt Sanders a little bit. I am gonna knock him down. I'm gonna probably knock Sanders down a couple. He's still gonna have a lot of value, especially PPR, because he can catch a pass out of the backfield and things like that. But I mean, it just you now have to worry almost even more about Wentz getting hurt because that's what he does.
Yeah.
So offensive line is something that people tend to ignore, and it's something you cannot ignore.
Yep, 100%
It is
agree.
massive in fantasy.
Yep, definitely agree with that. And Ryan, we'll get your thoughts on this last one here. Sony Michel and his foot surgery. There's a potential that he may not start the season. He may be on the PUP list. I know you're a huge supporter of Sony Michel. What are your thoughts on this, and what are you doing with Sony Michel?
Let's go Damien Harris season. He's a hold right now. If you have him on your dynasty team, you can't sell him, especially while he's hurt, and it's not like his value's super high to begin with. I'd maybe even put out a offer on him to try to buy him cheap. I don't love Michelle. I think he's a one-dimensional player. I think his career path's going to look a lot like Tevin Coleman, but I'm just not there for him. But if I can buy him really cheap, I'm okay with it. But I'm going to grab Damien Harris. I think he's a better back anyways. I think that could be his job if he gets the chance.
Yeah, so I'm kind of loving this because I've been buying Harris everywhere. Everywhere I can get him, I've been scooping him up, and I didn't think that he'd get the chance to start or anything in the beginning of the week. I just thought eventually he would take over for Sony Michel. But now that Michel might be injured to start the season, Harris is looking better and better. What are your thoughts, John, on this situation with Michel? You're the Patriots fan here. What are your thoughts?
I'm kind of sick of the Sony train already. To me,
did we lose? We may have just lost John.
Maybe we lost him.
Oh.
I just don't. Oh, I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
That's what happens when I start to bat Sony Michel. I freeze. My whole mic stops. So I was saying how I don't believe in Sony Michel as much anymore. What we saw in the playoffs, I think, is shrouding everyone's judgment and shrouding everyone's mind. What we saw last year, a little bit more realistic, more pedestrian numbers, couldn't evade a tackle to save his life. And now he's got knee issues, foot issues. It's compiling that this might not be the dynasty asset we thought we had. So for redraft, you get him for next to nothing. But I'm dynasty. I'm shaking in my boot. I don't think it's a long asset anymore.
What is that noise in the background? Someone got Pac-Man back there. Is that your dog chewing on a bone, Rine?
Yeah. Into the mic. realize he was that loud.
It's all good. I was like, man, we got Pac-Man in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to town.
Going to town.
Shit, sorry guys.
No, you're good, man. You're good. We know your dog always likes to make an appearance on the show some way or some form.
That's Sony Michelle's knee, bone on bone, that we're hearing.
Yes.
That's exactly what that bone on bone knee.
That was his way of giving an opinion.
Nice. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this mock draft. So let me give you all an idea of how this is going to go. We're going to do it from a Superflex standpoint, so the quarterbacks will have some value. We're going to do a 2-round, 12-team mock draft. We just kind of go round robin around the room here. But you can only draft players from that division. We're not really doing, team building or strategy as far as, positions. We're just drafting best player available just so we can talk about them in a different way to do these division previews. So with that said, we're doing the NFC East first, and because Joe is the NFC East guy on the podcast, he gets to pick number 1. So Joe, who are you taking here?
First player for the NFC East has got to be, with Superflex in mind, it's got to be Dak.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, I'm going Dak. Superflex in mind, Dak would be number 1 on my board here.
Yeah,
so let's go him.
Yeah, I thought you were going a different direction when you said then you brought up Superflex, and yeah, Dak is definitely a good choice there. I think that hopefully he gets that contract that he wants, and he was I think the number 2 quarterback overall last year, so definitely a great pick there in Superflex. All right, John, you're up next at the number 2 pick. Where are you going here?
I'm going to stick with the same team. I'm going to go Mr. Coronavirus himself, Ezekiel Elliott. I just want to shore up that running back. I still think he's going to be a top 3 back. The coronavirus, I joke about it, but the coronavirus news doesn't scare me too much. And I see him falling a little bit in drafts and redrafts because of it. I'll take Zeke all day, every day. He's still a top 3 back to me, and so now I get to shore up my backfield.
Yep, I love that pick there. I thought you would have gone Saquon Barkley there, but Zeke, can't hate on Zeke either. Zeke's a great player.
Yep. Oh, spoiler alert to my pick.
All right, Ryan, you got the number 3.
Blow it.
Yeah, you just pulled a LaShawn McCoy on me. It's Saquon Barkley. He'd be my number 1 in this division. He's all world. He's young. He's going to be a 90-catch guy. He's the offense for them. It revolves around him. As long as he's on the field, he's going to be a guy who's going to compete for the top fantasy player year after year. He's easy pick there for me.
All right, good stuff. So I'm up at the number 4 here, and a couple options I'm looking at. Of course, the best receiver on the board is probably Amari Cooper. The best running back on the board right now, of course, is Miles Sanders. We got Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones, and Haskins at quarterback. Not thinking tight end quite yet. But I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here, and I've been buying this guy everywhere because he's going a little bit later, especially in dynasty leagues. Mr. Daniel Jones. I think in Superflex leagues he's got a ton of value. We saw last year that he's got value with his legs as well. He gives you that solid floor. I think if he can take that second-year leap there with some weapons he's got with Evan Ingram, if he can stay healthy, Darius Slayton, looks like he's going to be a player. Of course, Saquon Barkley, if he can stay healthy, I think Daniel Jones is going to be an excellent pick. People don't realize, but Daniel Jones actually averaged points per game, averaged the same as Kyler Murray last year, and everyone's getting Kyler Murray in the top 6 or 7 picks as far as quarterbacks go. So Jones is right there with him. If he can just stay on the field and get these weapons around him and stay healthy, he's going to be an amazing pick down the road. All right, back to you, Joe, with the 105. Who you got going?
So, yeah, you mentioned Cooper. If you've ever listened to my podcast, I am not a Cooper guy. The inconsistency just kills me. I can't do it. I know he's going to have these ginormous days. I just can't do it. I don't pull the trigger on him ever. Sanders and Wentz is who I'm between here. I'm going to pull the trigger with Sanders. I still believe in him. He may not be able to get as much running room now with the offensive line down a guy, but he's still going to make some noise out of the backfield. And I'm still not buying into this receiving core as much with Wentz. So I like Sanders a lot more. Yeah,
I love it, and I brought this up in one of my leagues too, in a chat. Talk about Miles Sanders and the offensive line being a little bit hurt, and he brought a good point that he's now the dump off guy. If he's the one catching all the passes because he can't get the ball down the field, so he can catch a bunch of passes this year and still have tons of value. So I do love me some Miles Sanders for sure. All right, John, you're up at the 106.
Well, since it is super flex, I was hoping Daniel Jones would slide all the way back to me, but he didn't. So, and I certainly don't want Dwayne Haskins on my team, so I'm going to have to take Carson Wentz. So I think Carson Wentz still has upside. I think he still has, given his receiver core is not great, he can still make things happen. You know, we watched it last year. His receiver core was even worse. It was terrible. You know, you add Jalen Reagor, you add some other weapons to that offense, speedy guys. I think they're going to try and stretch the field a little bit. I like that for Carson Wentz and his arm strength. So, yeah, I guess I'll take Carson Wentz, just also because I don't want Dwayne Haskins at all.
It's almost like he's kind of forced your hand there.
I'm very sorry.
It's all good, man.
All right, Ryan, you got the 107. Who you got going here?
I was had all the numbers and stats up for Carson Wentz there because I thought Cooper was going to be gone. But I'm taking Cooper. I mean, he's only 25, man, and he's been nothing but phenomenal. I think he gets a bad rep. We've had 5,000-yard seasons out of him, and he just gets straight disrespected, and he's done it with, obviously, Dak, who's a great quarterback. He's done it with trash quarterbacks, too. Even if he's out of Dallas in a year or two, he's still a huge fantasy value because of his age and what he brings to the table with his route running, his speed. He's the best receiver in that division, so I'm going to grab him up here.
All right, good stuff. And this leaves me in a tough spot because, I mean, we're starting to get down to these guys that are a little bit, harder to pick up. So I got Michael Gallup there, who had a great season last year, but of course you got CeeDee Lamb that could possibly cut into his workload. You got F1 Terry McLaurin there, Darius Slayton I mentioned earlier. But I think I'm going to take the first tight end here. I think I'm going to go with Zach Ertz. I do think he still has plenty of value. I know Goddard is there and he may cut into some of his stuff, but Carson Wentz just loves Zach Ertz. Anytime he drops back to pass, it like he's looking for Zach Ertz every time, it seems. I think Zach Ertz, last year had a great season, except he didn't score touchdowns. That was the one problem he had last year, is he didn't score enough touchdowns. So if that sort of gets some positive regression there, I think Zach Ertz can go back to being a top 2 or 3 tight end. So give me Zach Ertz here at the 108. And back to you, Joe, at the 109.
So I'm going to take the only Redskin that I want to own at all this year, and it is Scary Terry. Terry F1 McLaurin. The guy's a beast, man. I mean, he had no quarterback last year, and he still got it done. The guy just catches balls in traffic. He's a smaller stature guy, but he's physical. I love the guy. I wasn't in love with the pick when we made it for the on draft night, but he sold me, dude. Last year he's the real deal.
Yeah, it's crazy because I actually, I live here just outside of Washington, D.C., so I see a lot of the games and, all the highlights and the radio and all that. And I just had this preconceived notion that he was just the down-the-field burner. But then I saw a thread on Twitter, and it showed a bunch of his plays and how he's more of a complete receiver than I thought he was. And, the volume he got last year, I think that's just going to go up from what he did last year. He's going to be, a much better player. And, yeah, I think he's a rising star for sure. And I think the Redskins sort of got struck gold there with that one. All right, John, you're up at the, let's see, what are we on now? The 110 now.
110. I feel like I need receiver help because I'm trying to get this. I'm going to go upside here. I'm going to stack Jalen Reagor with my Carson Wentz. I think, Jalen Reagor, rookie, the news for Alshon Jeffrey is not good. It sounds like he's going to start the season on the PUP. So there's a path to targets. We always talk about that as, for a rookie, where is your path to targets? Well, it's wide open right now. It's basically going to be him and Deshaun Jackson. So I'll take the young guy in Reagor. I know it's going to be hard without an off season. It's going to be hard without really a training camp to get on the same page as Carson Wentz. But I think they need weapons. They need receiver help. Jalen Reagor is going to step right in and be just fine.
All right, good stuff. A little bit of I thought you were going with CeeDee Lamb there. I thought that he would be the one rookie you'd grab.
I thought about it.
But good stuff though. I like that, going with the stack there with Carson Wentz. I love it. All right, Ryan, you got the 111.
Thanks for saying my pick again right before I'm about to take it. Jeff, you're killing me tonight. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. He was my rookie wide receiver too, and I think it's a great situation for him. This team had 600 pass attempts last year. They lost 140 just between, 160 between Witten and Cobb. I mean, that's a lot of targets to split. If he can't find a niche in that offense now, and that starting job's immediately his to take over for Cooper when he's gone. So I'm taking CeeDee Lamb there. And in fact, he's a stud with the ball in his hand and does everything. He is a true number one receiver.
Yep, I love that pick there, and I know originally.
I know you love the pick.
Yes, I know originally when they first drafted him, I was a little bit down on CeeDee Lamb. He was my number one coming into the draft, and I was kind of like, oh man, he's gonna be the third receiver there. But then when I looked at it, like you said, I mean, all those targets that were vacated last year, you know, if he steps into even what Randall Cobb had as far as his targets go, he'll have a great rookie season. I did a Twitter stat where I, compared Randall Cobb's numbers, basically saying that if CeeDee Lamb got Randall Cobb's numbers, where he would rank as far as rookies go from last year's rookies, and he's right up there with some of those guys like AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin type with the targets that he had. So I love that pick there with CeeDee Lamb. So great stuff. All right, so on the board there's not a lot of upside left. We got Dwayne Haskins that we talked about. Darius Geis is still there. Boston Scott from Philly. Of course, Michael Gallup is there. The tight ends are all still there, but there's one player that I'm going to stack with my quarterback, Daniel Jones, Mr. Darius Slayton. I know Ryan knows I'm a big Darius Slayton guy. I got him, late in my rookie drafts last year. No one really knew who this kid was, and he's kind of, he's been good. I can't say he's blown up yet. He hasn't broken out yet, but he showed us what he can do last year when he got the chance. I think this year he takes that step forward with Daniel Jones, and they become a dynamic duo for years to come. So give me Darius Slayton on this one.
I like that pick.
Yeah, it's a little bit off the beaten path there. I thought Michael Gallup would be the one that I'd pick there, but just thinking about it, I like Darius Slayton.
More upside with Slayton, I think, than Gallup.
Agreed.
If you ask me.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's Slayton has a chance to be that number one there eventually because the older guys like Tate and Sterling Shepard plays mostly in the slot, so he could be the number one there eventually.
Right.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will do the I know everybody's kind of holding their breath, waiting to see who wins that Scott Fishbowl entry. So we'll give that away, and then we'll also we'll go and do the AFC East, and John is gonna be the number one pick there. So just hold tight, guys.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. Goingfor2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, welcome back. And just real quick, I kind of jumped the gun there. We're not doing the AFC East quite yet. We still have the round 2 of the NFC East, so we'll finish that up first. And then we'll give away the Scott Fishbowl entry. So I have the number 1 pick in the second round. I just took Darius Slayton, so I'm going to go back-to-back here and take the other receiver I was thinking about, taking Michael Gallup as well. We mentioned it. The upside is not quite there, as with CeeDee Lamb being there, but I do think that Gallup's role won't change much. I think that CeeDee Lamb is more Amari Cooper's role than he is CeeDee Lamb or Michael Gallup's role. So I think Michael Gallup still has a potential there to be maybe not a 1,000-yard receiver, but he definitely can be up there. And I think where I'm getting him in the second round here is definitely a good value. All right, and then we're going back to you, Ryan, with the 202.
202. I'm taking Evan Ingram. If you look at the Giants roster, all their receivers, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, they're all little guys. They don't have a true red zone threat. We haven't seen a full season of Evan Ingram with him being healthy. And if he is, man, he's super talented. He's fast. He can spread the field. He can do everything you want. And he's that huge red zone threat. He could be the safety blanket for Daniel Jones while he's in there. and can score a ton of fantasy points. I could see him being their number two in targets out of their receiving core, because that's essentially what he is a big receiver at the tight end position, which it's getting better, but still kind of putrid.
Yeah, I agree. I think health is his biggest concern there, because he's definitely an athletic tight end. We saw what he can do when he's on the field. It's just staying on the field has been his biggest issue. So I agree. I think Evan Ingram's upside is definitely there. All right, Joe, we are back to you. What you got here for the 203?
Is it me? I thought.
Oh, you're right. No, I do have Joe written down, but it actually should be John. I think I reversed it.
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say I don't think it should be me.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So John, you got the 203.
I'm gonna take a player who's oft injured, but I think this could be the year. Hopefully, he puts everything together, and that's Darius Geis. When he is healthy, he is a dominant running back for fantasy. You know, we've seen short stints of it, very short stints of it, but extremely productive time in Washington. So I guess I'll take Darius Geis in the hopes that he's got a full off season. He should be healthy, get everything back on track, and hopefully these freak injuries are sort of done.
Yeah,
Bless
I think
your heart for holding out hope. I love Darius Geis so much. My hope is just.
I know it's fake, and I still
plummeting.
want.
Doesn't seem like the Redskins have. They brought on like 4 other running backs. So,
yeah, exactly. And that's what I was
not
thinking
feeling
too.
good about that one.
Yep, it's not something that you want to do when you got a running back like that. So yeah, I agree. All right, Joe, now you're up at the 204.
All right, yeah. So not much left on the board. I mean, the other quarterback, I don't care. I'm just gonna go next to my board and Sterling Shepard. Not flashy, but just a solid, consistent player when he's on the field. On the field is a problem, as we've just said with Ingram. But he's good. I know that they've got Slayton, the up and comer, but I don't think Shepard's gonna totally disappear. So he'll be all right.
All right, good stuff there. All right, so I'm going to take the guy that everybody has been avoiding all draft, and they just won't say his name, Dwayne Haskins, the quarterback for the Redskins. I figure at this point, it's super flex. Dwayne Haskins, even if he is terrible, he's probably better than some of the guys that are on this list right now. As much as I love guys like Antonio Gibson and their upside, and Dallas Goedert at tight end, I think the quarterback position is just such a good position that they touch the ball in every single play. They have more fancy value than anybody. Even the bad ones are decent sleeper flex quarterbacks. So I'll take Dwayne Haskins. And then Ryan, you're up at the 206. I think you're on mute, Ryan.
Hold on. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to block out the Pac-Man in the background. At the 206, I think Dallas Goedert. It's kind of just the backup play. He looked really good when he had the starting opportunities last year, and especially with Alshon going down, I think you're gonna see a lot of 2 tight end sets for them in Philly. And he is a future starter there. They took him in the second round. He has the draft capital. Ertz is really good, but they can coexist because outside of Rager, that receiving core is not great. And they threw the ball. Another team threw the ball 600 plus times last year.
Yep.
That's what they do, and people have to catch it. He's super talented tight end. He's just stuck behind an even better one. So I'm going to take a chance that he's going to get enough action to be viable now and be a starter in the future.
All right, good stuff there. I think he was probably the best player left on the board. So now we are going to John at the, what are we at, the 203. And it's pretty ugly right now, John. What you looking at?
I'm going to take a player in Blake Jarwin. We talked about some vacated targets that Dallas had, and that, we think CeeDee Lamb has the opportunity to soak some of those up. Well, I think Blake Jarwin has the opportunity to soak a lot of those up too. With Witten there, an old beat up Witten saw a bunch of targets. So, what makes me think that a younger version in Blake Jarwin won't see the same, if not more. So, I'll take him in the chance that he is their tight end and becomes, a usable asset for fantasy, because tight ends can be a wasteland.
Yep, agreed. All right, Joe, you got the 204.
So I'm going to go with Boston Scott.
Ooh,
pairing him with my Miles Sanders here. Not really a handcuff, though. Do not get this misunderstood here. It is a real player. Like, this guy's going to make a difference regardless of Sanders being there. If you guys watched the last few games of last season when the Eagles had no receivers, and we're talking about the fact that they have no receivers still, despite they're all coming back from injury. Boston Scott was a beast, man. Like, he looked sometimes better than Miles Sanders, and you were like, uh-oh. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to outperform Sanders by a mile, like by a long shot, but Scott's got the goods to catch, 4 or 5 out of the backfield every now and then and, score a touchdown. We saw it. Like, he's just electric. He's just an electric player.
Yep. Love that call. Love that. All right. I'm up. What are we at? The 205? I lost.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I lost my track there. So, yeah, all right. We're at the 205, and we are, running out of players here. So I'm going to go with the upside rookie, Mr. Antonio Gibson. We don't know if he's a running back or a receiver, Gibson. I think the Redskins will find a good way to use him. He's been compared by their new head coach to Christian McCaffrey. Don't get it twisted. He's not Christian McCaffrey, but he can do some of the same things that Christian McCaffrey can do. He can line up, in the slot. He can come out of the backfield. So I think they will find a good way to use him. Like you mentioned before, Joe, they got a ton of running backs there, so who knows how much he actually gets his rookie season. But that upside is definitely there for him to be a big playmaker. And, at this point in the draft, there's not a whole lot left. So give me Gibson. And back to you, Ryan. We at the 206.
I'm going to take Kelvin Harmon. We've talked about him a lot as a deep sleeper on this show. He was literally their number 2 leading receiver last year, and nobody in the world knew. He played well when he was healthy. He was coming off injury. He was a guy pre-draft capital was considered a top 5 dynasty asset. Got picked later than expected. Got hurt. And now has just disappeared into oblivion. And he shined when he was in there. So he's somebody I'll take a chance on, especially with the trash that's left.
Yeah, exactly. Pick the best of the trash. All right, John, we're still trash digging here. Who you got at the 207?
I can't believe in a fake little draft I got double sniped. Antonio Gibson and Kelvin Harmon, 2 guys who I thought were going to be there, totally fine. I got nothing. So what I am going to do, I'm going to pivot to my handcuff because I am scared a little bit, obviously, of coronavirus. I am scared a little bit of health. So I'm going to take Tony Pollard to protect my Ezekiel Elliott a little bit.
All right, good stuff. Going with the handcuff there. Joe, what do you got here? I mean, we're digging deep now. You got anybody?
No. I do want to say I actually think this is the last pick if we do the numbers. Just gonna say I've picked 3 times. This is now my 4th.
So did I mess up?
I think this is actually it. So and thankfully because we're out of players. I got nothing. I'm just gonna go home run ball and say D-Jax.
There you go.
I mean,
good pick. It's a good pick, though.
Whatever.
Yeah, I've actually we had a note in the news and notes that I didn't get to, but someone reported and said that D-Jax would be the number 1 receiver this year. I don't know if I believe that, but
I don't either.
Yeah, that's
Rager. Even though I literally just traded Rager today.
I mean, I don't know how much I can buy into a rookie being the number 1 receiver. Rookie receivers don't usually do that, especially when there's going to be like 0 offseason for them this year. But I like Rager a lot. I'm just not buying him being the number 1 this year yet. It's not going to happen.
I think the number 1 there is still Zach Ertz, and then Dallas Goedert right behind him.
Yeah, this is another thing to the Goddard back, where he's going to be getting targets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree. All right. So yeah, I did lose count there. Thanks, John, for keeping me on track there. It's good to have a couple hosts here. We got John and Joe. They're used to hosting shows, and I'm on my third.
Wait a minute. Yeah. I had the 4th pick.
Yeah, I'm crossing these guys off the list here, and I'm like, we're running out of players. Did I miscount here? I could have swore I counted enough players to cover a 2-round mock. So yeah, thank you, Joe, for keeping me on track. I'm already 3 beers in. Usually I only drink 2 on my show, so I'm a little bit beyond the point where I'm a little buzzed. So that's my bad.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and give away what everybody's been waiting for, and everybody's kind of been hanging around in the chat room there. I see everybody kind of talking about the Scott Fishbowl entry and when we're going to give it away. So we are going to give it away now. For those of y'all that don't know what the contest was, I ran it on Twitter. We were calling it Game Face 2020. Basically, you post your best game face. Use the hashtag Game Face 2020. and we're going to pick a random winner tonight to be in the Scott Fish Bowl. And I think they're pretty much close to finishing it off there, so it'll probably be one of the last entries given by Scott Fish. So with that said, the winner of the Scott Fish Bowl, and I had my drum roll ready, but I just realized that my button is broken, so I can't press my drum roll button right now, so I apologize. There we go. We got some good sound effects there. The winner is Mr. @Jax Commish on Twitter. I actually went to his profile when I picked him. It was a random thing. I picked him. I went to his profile, and this guy was trying so hard to get in. I think he's been in every one of these giveaways for every podcast imaginable. He's retweeted everything he can possibly retweet. He's been begging to get in. I believe it's his first time in, so I'm glad to give it to this guy.
Nice.
So @Jax Commish, don't know if you're listening right now on Twitter or Periscope or not, but I'll be reaching out to you through your DMs. Sorry, guys, I couldn't give out all these entries. I know a lot of y'all are disappointed you didn't get in. I wish I can give out more. But it was pretty cool because some of the guys that entered texted me between last week and this week, texted me and said, hey, I got my entry in, take me out of the contest. So it was cool to see some other guys that, were trying to get in. They actually got in. So good stuff, guys. Don't give up. There's still some spots left, especially if you're a fan, not an analyst. There's a bunch of spots left that Scott's still giving out. So hang in there, guys. It's going to happen for you. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the AFC East 2-round mock draft. And I will say that the AFC East, as far as talent goes, I hate to say it, but there's not a whole lot here. It's not a whole lot to work with.
That's why when I thought about it, I thought this is going to be a hard 2-round mock. This is going to be tough.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I remember I did a.
The East was bad.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Can we pick defenses?
Yeah, exactly. Where are the kickers at?
Right off the bat, please. New England.
Definitely. All right, good stuff. All right, John, you are the AFC East guy, the Patriots fan. Let me guess, you're taking Jarrett Stidham number 1, right?
110% no. I'm gonna probably do Josh Allen just because. Super flex. I hate to do it because I, in terms of Josh Allen as a quarterback on the field, I'm not the biggest believer. But Josh Allen, the quarterback for fantasy, is great, and he will be locked and loaded, top 10 guy week in, week out. So I can set it and forget it with Josh Allen. So I guess I'll take him.
Yeah, I love it. I love that pick there because there is that he has that floor with the rushing ability. But you're right. I mean, as far as an NFL quarterback, it's a little bit risky because he's not the most accurate quarterback there, but. He did get Buffalo to the playoffs, so that's something for him.
Yep.
So I love that pick there. All right, Joe, you got the 102.
There's honestly everybody left at this point is grouped together. There's just nothing, man. It drops off. Is in the Superflex type style league. It drops off completely, but. I'm gonna go, man. It's a total coin flip between Bell and Singletary to me, but I like the younger guy. I'm going to go Singletary. I know Moss is there, and I know there's the scare, but I just think Singletary is the better talent at this point, even than Bell. Better team, so that's going to help too. I just want to stay away from Gase as much as humanly possible.
It's a good strategy in fantasy, that's for sure. Yeah, I love Singletary as well. I drafted him as a rookie in my rookie draft last year, and of course I was upset with the Moss pick. But I do think, it's just today's NFL. What running back does not share a backfield these days?
Singletary was good, even with Gore there, and they're talking Moss is going to take Gore's role. So, okay, fine.
Yep,
I'm
100%
happy.
Agree. All right, Ryan, you got the 103.
I'm going to take Stephon Diggs here. We've seen nothing but consistently good play out of Stephon Diggs since he's been in the league. And he's been in multiple offenses. He's been on the same team. They've changed offenses a bunch of times. He's only going to be 27. And Josh Allen's the first quarterback he's had who's going to take chances throwing the ball deep. He's going to force it to his best receiver. I think he has an opportunity to do really well there. He could be in potential to be just as good as any season he had just because he's going to get those opportunities. He's going to be the lead dog there. And he's going to get those deep throws that he wasn't getting before, and he wasn't just relying on his yak ability.
Yeah, that's a great pick there, and I think you're right. I mean, Josh Allen. The one thing he can do is definitely sling it down the field. It may not be 100% accurate, but it can definitely get down the field. He's got a huge arm, so Diggs is definitely. It would have been my pick there at the 103 as well. All right, so I'm up at the 104, and it's super flex, and I'm looking at these quarterbacks like I really don't want them. I really don't. We got Stidham, we got Darnold, we got Tua and Fitz, so I'm going to have to go another direction here, go with the running back, and I will take the old guy, Le'Veon Bell, in that Gase system. If anything, he'll get the volume like he did last year. He wasn't great, but he played most of the games last year. He just had a ton of volume. He averaged a terrible yards per carry. Didn't do a whole lot, but he was good enough for an RB3, so I will take Le'Veon Bell here at the 104. And then back to you, Joe, back to you, John, at the 105.
I can't believe I'm going to take this guy. I really can't. I'll take Devontae Parker. I guess I'll take Devontae Parker. I need the wide receiver. The wide receivers in the AFC East are suspect at best, and I'll take the guy who did the amazing fifth-year breakout finally, and showed what he was drafted to do, what seemed like forever ago. But I'll take Devontae Parker. I like his outlook. I like his outlook for 2020. I think he's safe for 100-plus targets, and they're going to be a team that's playing from behind a lot. So, I begrudgingly take Devontae Parker.
Yeah, it's funny the hate for this guy. I remember last year when me and Ryan were doing our weekly podcast, and Ryan did the waiver wire report for us on goingfor2.com, and
dude,
he literally wrote up Devontae Parker for like 6 straight weeks, and no one did. He was still not owned.
And I always put the percentage owned on ESPN. It literally for like 6 or 7 weeks, it was under 50% of leagues owned him.
It's crazy.
It went down actually after.
It went down. The better he played,
went up
the worse
and then went down a little. Yeah.
There's like, I'm not falling for this again.
Yep. Exactly. All right, so where are we at? Joe, Joe's keeping us in track here. We're at the 106, right, Joe?
I think so. So I'm going to go, like you said, there's a few more running backs I like than receivers. I think one of the last safe receivers on the board is Julian Edelman. I know he's older. I know Brady's gone. And I know we don't really know anything about Stidham, but the one thing I'm going to say is Stidham could easily just dump it down to Edelman 15 times a game.
Yeah, good point.
PPR gold, buddy. Let's do it.
Good point. All right, Ryan, you're up at the 107.
Get a little weird here. I'm going to go with the future number 1 wide receiver of the Patriots, and that's N'Keal Harry.
Okay.
I know you just mentioned about Edelman going to get the dump offs and all that, which is 100% possible, but we've known Edelman, he had that connection with Brady for so long.
Of course.
And been working with him year after year. Even last year, instead of with second team, chances are he was growing with N'Keal Harry on that scout team offense. N'Keal Harry's big body receiver, can run after the catch. You can, if you're not that accurate, you can throw it up to him and let him go get it. He was the Patriots' first-round pick, which you don't see them taking that on skill positions that often. I know they've just done it with him and Michelle. But, he's a super talented guy, and we're a year away from him being a top 3 dynasty rookie pick, and we're just throwing him in the trash. Dude's talented. I'm going for Harry on that.
All right, yeah, good stuff. People like to give up on players too soon, and Harry was injured, and I think that...
Look at Devontae Parker, his 5th-year breakout.
Yeah. All those dynasty people that were holding on to finally, partying in the street.
Fair enough.
All right. I think it goes to a testament of how bad these quarterbacks are that I'm up at the 108, and we only have 1 quarterback off the board. So I'm going to have to take the second one here, and I'm going to go with the young guy, the rookie, Tua Tagovailoa. I'm probably saying it wrong, but at least I tried it this time.
No, you got it right.
Did I get it right? I've been working on it. I drive to work in the morning, and I just repeat his name over and over again. I'm going to get this name right, goddammit. I just got to get it right. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tua here. I think the long-term potential of Tua is definitely there. Obviously, the super flex, he has an extra added value there. And for as far as what's left on the board here, he's the best available. So give me Tua. And back to you, John, at the 109.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the same sort of avenue as you and go with Sam Darnold. It is super flex. I keep having to remind myself. So I'm going to take Sam Darnold. He's not pretty. He's not sexy, but he is a quarterback, and in this format, quarterbacks score a lot of points. So I'll take Sam Darnold. if this wasn't super flex, let's put it this way, I wouldn't even be looking his way. But the fact that it is super flex means that he can be that, give me that low end quarterback 2 numbers or mid quarterback 2 numbers, and it'll be better than, anything Rex Burkhead's going to give me. So.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, Joe, it's getting ugly already. We're in the first round. This is already getting ugly, man.
It is. Going back and forth between a couple guys here. I don't really love the quarterbacks, but you took Tua, man. I think I'm gonna go Fitz.
All right.
I'm not buying in the fact that Tua is really gonna play a bunch this year, and go for Fitz, and especially with a lack of an off season. I think Fitz at least is going to play a bunch of the games. Maybe they fall out and just say, "All right, Tua, you go for it." But this year, especially, I think Fitz plays the majority of the games, and we saw, he's Fitz. He does what he does, right?
Yep.
I mean, it works.
Yeah, if this truly was your NFL player pool right here, I mean, you have to go with Fitz just because of, like you said, what's left on the board. Luckily, we get to play with the entire NFL, not just the AFC East, because this would be terrible.
Yes. Thank God.
Thank God's right.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, you are up, and what are we at, the 211 now? I think we're at the 211, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 111. The 111, not 211.
111. It feels like the 211. Yeah.
Taking Preston Williams here. He played
Like
really good before he was hurt, and he's just kind of had like a tumultuous career. He was a top tier prospect, got some trouble, got kind of slept on with the D2. Now he's been hurt after he started to play well. He's 6'5". He has a huge catch radius. He can run after the catch. He was a red zone monster before he got hurt. He was one of their best receivers. He was doing just as good as Devontae Parker was, and he's a guy who's free in fantasy right now. So I'm taking Preston Williams here.
All right.
Might be a reach, but I'm okay with it.
I like it.
I think the whole AFC East is a reach.
Yeah, right.
All right, so
draft players from this division.
Exactly. I'm looking at a couple options here. So Jordan Howard's still on the board. We also have Denzel Mims, the rookie. John Brown is there. Mike Gesicki is there. Of course, Zach Moss is still there. A couple options that are sort of all kind of grouped together. But give me Mike Gesicki. I know I was a big, huge Mike Gesicki guy last year. Ryan hated on me all season. He finally had a bit of a breakout towards the end of the season. Hopefully he can kind of continue that breakout into the next season. And like John said earlier, the Dolphins are going to be behind a lot, going to be throwing a lot. Gesicki's not a blocking tight end. We know that. So he'll be on the field in those passing situations. And, he has the athletic ability to be a beast. He just needs to put it all together. And I think this year he can do it there. So give me Mike Gesicki, the first tight end off the board. All right, John, back to you. Actually, I'm sorry. I got the back-to-back, don't I?
Back to back.
Yeah, I got the back-to-back. So, okay, I'm going to go Mike Gesicki, and then I'm going to take, let me go with Jordan Howard, too. Let me take the guy who's been hated on his whole entire career because he can't catch, but you know what? He can run. We saw last year with the Eagles, he put up some good points there. He was always good with the Chicago Bears. Dolphins are going to lead on the running game as much as they possibly can and shorten the game. So give me Jordan Howard there. All right, John. Or Ryan, actually, back to you. I'm all messed up now. Ryan, it's up to you.
Now I'm questioning if this guy's still there. Sam Darnold's still available, right?
No, sir.
Nope.
He's gone.
Not bad. Well, I'm going to take his future number one receiver, and that's Denzel Mims.
Love it.
Mims is first round pick. They put the draft capital on him. He is lightning when it comes to running deep. And they've lost their top deep threat, Robbie Anderson, so he needs somebody who can sling it to a little bit. He has fantastic hands. He can do a little bit of everything for him. He has the opportunity to be their top receiver and at least get a ton of targets. Because it's not a good team. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. I know it's a mess there, but it's got to be. There has to be some positive spot. There has to be somebody who's going to give you fantasy production receiving group.
Yeah,
and it's going to be Denzel. And I bet on Denzel Mims.
Yeah, I like Mims a lot. I hate the landing spot, but I loved him before the draft.
Long term, how long is Gase going to be there?
Hopefully one more year.
I was going to say he shouldn't even be there now. So,
yeah,
exactly. So we're all betting dynasty-wise on him being there, but what if he's not?
Yep, good point. All right, Joe, you are up at the 203.
John?
Is it John?
No. Right, NFC East. AFC East. Right, we switched the order. Just kidding. All right. I will go with. Oh man, we just hated on Sony Michel, so I feel weird taking him. So screw that. I'll go with Matt Breida. I like Breida's playmaking ability out of the backfield for this Miami team. I know Jordan Howard's there, and he'll probably get the bulk of the carries. But we saw what Breida can do in San Fran when he got the opportunity, and obviously they traded for him for a reason. So I think they're going to use him more than people think.
Yeah, I like Breida a lot as a Niners fan. I always thought he was pretty good. He's an explosive player. He just can't stay healthy. I mean, the guy just can't stay healthy. That's his biggest issue. But if he's a part-time player, not a full-time player, with Jordan Howard being the first and second down back, I think Breida can definitely be a good player there. So, great pick. All right, John, now we're up to you, the 204.
I am gonna take Sony Michel, even though we did just trash on him so much. I am gonna do it, but at the 204, it's kind of hard not to.
Right.
The running backs at this point you're looking at a lot of backups. Zach Moss, a rookie, all these other guys. There's a lot of question marks. So I guess I'll take the guy who has question marks, but at least had some proven track record. So when the Patriots figured out how to run, and when the Patriots figured out how to set up the run, Sony looked great. They moved Landon Roberts over to be the fullback and play fullback for him. So I think they're going to have to do something creative like that. They're going to have to find ways, because he ran better when he had Devlin in front of him. They're going to find ways to, either bring back the fullback or bring in an extra block or find out something to get up opening lanes for Sony Michel. And if there are lanes, he can run. He's a good runner. He just can't create space on his own. So I think they're going to try their best to figure it out. And when they do, he has potential to be fine, just fine for fantasy. You bake in the injury risk, but again, I'm getting him at the 204. So
yeah, I agree.
The usage alone is phenomenal with him. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think he was getting like 15 to 20 touches last year. He wasn't doing a whole lot with it, but I think that that.
No, he wasn't doing anything with it.
Touches
like
are there.
247 carries last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty good amount right there.
Nuts.
It's definitely a good amount. All right, well, I'm going to stay in that backfield there and go with the guy that I think could eventually take over that spot. My guy, Damian Harris, that I've been kind of getting from everywhere for super cheap. He's basically free right now, but I think the upside is there. If Michelle has another injury scare or whatever it is, maybe Harris comes into the training camp and just outperforms Michelle, but I do think Harris is going to eventually take over for Michelle, so give me Harris with his upside. And Ryan, you're at the 206.
I'm going to take John Brown. I think John Brown was the leading receiver last year. I know I'm doubling up on Bills receivers in this, but we're just kind of taking this best player available. He still has a huge deep threat ability there. Him and Josh Allen have the connection. There's still going to be enough balls to go around between him and Diggs, because even with Cole Beasley there, it's still not a ton of talent, and those two are by far their best receivers. And he has a very specific role in that offense, and that's to spread the field for them and go deep. So he's always going to have a role in the offense, and he can give you that boom or bust game when you're in a desperate matchup against a really good team. So I'll go John Brown.
Yeah, last year his consistency was off the charts last year. I think at one point he was either 5 catches and 50 yards at almost every game last year. Something crazy like.
He was great.
Yeah, I mean he was awesome. Now they got Diggs there, so maybe that cuts into his volume a little bit, but that connection with John Brown was definitely there, and he was definitely a daily fantasy guy too. I'm a daily fantasy guy, and he was that guy that you just hope for that big play, and he ended up being a complete receiver, not just a big play, but he was getting underneath stuff as well. So John Brown's a great pick there. All right, Joe, we're up to you with the 207.
So I've got another guy who's on my board as far as best available, but as far as like team wise here, just to kind of back up my Singletary pick, I'm going Zach Moss. I'm picking it up. I'm gonna handcuff it. If it even really is a handcuff, I think they could be a kind of a 1-2 punch at this point anyway. Zach Moss is probably gonna get a lot of the goal line work too, because he is a bigger, bowling ball type of back. So that's gonna work out real nice to pair up with Singletary. And then hey, if one of them goes down, it's just even.
Yep. Then
I gotta seal it up right there. So
definitely good call there. I like that sort of stacking that running backfield. All right, John, you're up at the 208.
Man, it is This is my division, and I love this. I love these guys, but this is getting tough.
Do you love these guys?
I do. No, I do. I really do. I love.
I thought you were just faking a bad connection, so you didn't have to make a pick.
Oh, man. Apparently, Skype does not really love these guys.
I could stop this.
There we go.
But no, he's got a good. His preseason was amazing last year. It showed himself with Jarrett Stidham being one of the top receivers in that preseason. So you got Jarrett Stidham again. You might as well pair him up with Jacoby Myers. So I guess I'll take Jacoby Myers, the 208.
All right, we lost John a little bit there, but Jacoby Myers was the pick, so 208. Yeah, a little bit off the beaten path there. I didn't have him listed as one of the guys to draft, so good call there. As the Patriots fan, you kind of dug deep there. I like it.
Yeah, I had to because the preseason is where he sort of shined with Stidham, and I think that you're going to see it again. You got Stidham as your quarterback. People want to think that it's going to be status quo in New England. A lot of the beat reporters and a lot of the people I'm hearing from is, look, they're going to really change things up this year because they have to.
Yeah.
They don't have Tom Brady. They have to go totally off the board, and maybe Jacoby Myers does become this, usable fantasy piece. I have no idea, but at the 208, I'll take my shot.
Yep, good call. All right, so for the NFC East, I drafted the quarterback nobody wanted, so I'm going to do the same thing here with the AFC East, and I'm going to take Jarrett Stidham. Again, quarterbacks have that floor. He can be a terrible quarterback and still have more points than some of these guys left on the board. So give me Jarrett Stidham. I don't know how much upside is there. He could be an okay quarterback. I think he's more of a stopgap. Maybe he's that quarterback to quote-unquote tank for who's the guy next year? Lawrence. Tank for Lawrence. It doesn't have quite the same ring as tank for Tua. But, so yeah, I'm going to go Jarrett Stidham here with Superflex in mind. So give me Jarrett Stidham. All right, Ryan, up to you to the 210.
I mean, when we were crapping on Sonny Michel earlier, I mentioned Damian Harris, and I feel like I'd be a hypocrite not to take him at this point in the draft.
I already drafted him, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh, God damn.
Already off the board.
Oh, God, this division's so bad. I just keep staring at people here. I'm going to throw up in my mouth a little bit and say Bashard Perryman. He's somebody I don't want to talk positive about. I think he has a role in that offense. I think he can produce a little bit. He played really well last year in Jacksonville. And as Bashard Perryman, I don't want to talk about him. I have a deep hatred from him from his Ravens days. So, yeah.
Let the bad taste in your mouth from Ravens days.
God.
Got it.
So gross.
All right. Who we at now? Joe at the 211.
So I'm going another running back, man. This was the guy that I had higher on my board when I took Moss, and it's James White. James, we're talking Stidham, potentially dump down guy. We don't really know what this offense is going to look like. I don't really see Stidham just chucking it downfield. But who knows? We could all be wrong, or at least me. But James White is, consistent, good, catching balls out of the backfield. At least PPR, he's always a good player to have on your team.
Yeah, I love James White, and I thought about taking James White when I took Damian Harris, but I just like Harris's upside. So
I wish I'd have taken him over Perryman. I just kind of missed him.
I threw you off when I drafted Damian Harris already. You didn't know what to do at that point.
It did. I went into panic mode.
Full tilt mode.
Yeah.
Full tilt.
There was no clock.
Who would think it'd be an AFC East mock draft that just broke me tonight?
Good stuff. All right, we're at the last pick, John, and you got the 212. What you got here? You got anybody left on your board there?
If I take Bill Belichick, am I allowed to do that? Can I have him coach my fantasy team? No, I'm gonna take. I'm gonna fill out that tight end position because I'm gonna pretend that this is a real draft. I'm gonna take Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox has some potential. I think Dawson Knox showed that big game ability every once in a while, big play ability as well. And we talked about Josh Allen being able to sling the ball downfield. All it takes is one play out of him, and you made it for tight end. So it's, again, not the prettiest thing, but I'll take Dawson Knox.
Yeah, I like Knox. I actually drafted him last year in my rookie drafts and kept him on my taxi squad for a while. So I think Knox is going to be a good player. That offense can't support.
As well.
You just.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you Dawson for Rashad Perryman.
I'll throw in a third for you for taking that misery off my hands.
I don't want a third in the AFC East, please. No. I don't want a third round pick. I don't want to have to pick again, please.
Yes. Please stop. I'll start picking cheerleaders if Definitely.
I have to.
All right, that was tough. There's a reason why I did the East first. I did the NFC East and the AFC East first in these division previews because I knew this would be a little bit tough. When we get to league, like the NFC South is of course loaded, the NFC West is loaded, the AFC West is loaded. So yeah, we'll have a little bit more depth there. But the AFC East, NFC East are a little bit tougher. We did dig deep on some guys, so I kind of like that. For those dynasty players out there looking for that sleeper, I think that's kind of going to help those guys out. All right, we are at the 1 hour mark now, just in time for the favorite segment of the night. Let's do the Forgotten Player.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, let's go. Let's see, who do I want to go with first, John or Joe? Joe, we'll go to you first here. Give us your Forgotten Fantasy Player.
So this is more of a personal Forgotten Player for me. This guy led me to a championship in 2006. My team was fairly average. Picked up him off the waiver wire, and he carried me through the playoffs all the way to the last game. Got hurt before the last game, so I didn't get to use him. But Ron Dane.
Ooh, wow.
Week 7, 8, 9, and 10, dude. Wow. Or, sorry,
Phenomenal.
weeks 12, 13, 14, 15. 18 for 95, 21 for 87 and 2 touchdowns, 18 for 94 and a touch, 32 for 153 and 2 touchdowns. Ballin', dude. Like, this dude was crushing it, and obviously nobody cared about him. I was desperate for anything. I picked him up off the waiver wire, and he carried me all the way to the championship. In the championship game, I faced off against a guy who went, 12-1 in the regular season. Smoked him, even without Dane. It was hilarious. The guy had LT, and LT sat out because the Chargers had sealed it 2 weeks early.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yeah.
Nice.
It just worked out perfectly. So Ron Dane is a personal favorite of mine, so I had to share that story.
Nice.
This might be one of my favorite Forgotten Players in a while.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
That was awesome.
That's one of my favorites.
Yep.
I haven't heard that name and had no reason to remember that name.
No, of course not.
That was a great one. All right, John, you got a tough act to follow there. What you got for your Forgotten Player?
So this one is a little shout out to my co-host Brian Strait. We were talking about it earlier. He's good at he's the numbers guy. He's the brainiac. So I was like, Brian, who's a good person from 2006 to 2009 era that's a forgotten player? And he said, I got the perfect guy. I got the perfect guy for you, Miles Austin. And I said, oh, my God, Miles Austin, that is a name to remember. And I stopped back and thought about it. I said, well, he was pretty good. 2009, his stat line, 81 receptions, 1,320 yards, and 11 touchdowns.
Wow.
I didn't think he was that good.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being that good. And so then I go, well, what did he follow that up with? Followed it up with 70 receptions, another 1,000 yards, 41, and 7 touchdowns. So, I mean, he had a couple years there where he was a 1,000-yard receiver and had some life in Dallas. So, I liked it. I thought that was a good one. Miles Austin.
Love it.
Because how quickly we forget, and he just fell right off a cliff once he got traded to Cleveland and Philly and sort of bounced around a little. But
yeah, I think injuries kind of derailed him a little bit
Injuries
too.
got him, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, that was more for it, I feel like. But yeah, Austin's a good one, even though Dallas...
The Redskins did.
Gotta do it.
But yeah, I forgot how good that year was. It's one of those things where it's like you read that stat line and you're like, holy smokes, dude.
Yep.
I do not remember him being almost a 1,400-yard, 11 touchdown guy.
Nice. Yeah, I always tell this story in the podcast because you forget when you go back and look at some of your old teams, some of the guys that you had. And so I kind of stole this concept from another podcast that I went on. It wasn't a fancy podcast, just regular football, and he'd do a forgotten player. So I came on his show as a fantasy expert, and he wanted to just kind of go with a forgotten fantasy player. So I'm like, all right, let me go back and look at some of my old teams. And do y'all remember Sean McDonald? He was a receiver for the Lions, and he was the last receiver that had 1,000 yards before Calvin Johnson got there. And I didn't even remember this guy on my team. I went back and looked. I was like, who the hell is this guy? And, I mean, he had 1,000 yards. I think he had 7 or 8 touchdowns that year. It was my championship year, but I forgot his name completely.
I don't remember remember that dude at all.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was
I'm drawing blanks.
Yeah, it was one of those guys that just totally forgotten on my team. I think he had one great season, and that was it. All right, guys, let's go around the room really quick. Give us your Twitter handle, plug your show one more time, and then anything else you want to talk about. Joe, we'll go to you first.
So Joe Bond, you can follow me on Twitter at F6P_Joe. FantasySixpack.net, the Fantasy Six Pack Hour podcast on Thursdays. It releases late Thursday night, early Friday mornings. You can find it on YouTube, Anchor, iTunes, you name it. It's all over the place. That's where we're at, and tune in and enjoy all the draft content.
Definitely. Great show, guys. I was actually on that show, so yeah, definitely check that out. And they do beer reviews too, which is kind of cool in the beginning of the podcast.
Absolutely, man. Beer of the week.
Good stuff.
What's the beer of the week this week?
I did a Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA. I think I gave it a 4.25 on Untapped. It's a good one, man.
It's a great beer.
Nice. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, John.
So you can follow me at FTLS_JBats. I have the podcast, FTLS Fantasy Football Podcast for the Love of Sundays. Anywhere you can find it, you just type in FTLS, iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere you listen to podcasts. If my grandfather can find it, you can find it. It's that simple. That's pretty much it. Yeah, we don't do much anymore. We used to write articles on the website. We kind of fell away from that because the podcast just consumed so much time for us. We'll eventually go back to doing 4 days a week, 3-4 days a week. So we're getting excited to ramp that up. Right now we're down to 2. And me and Brian feel like we're chomping at the bit to get more content out. So I'm excited.
Good stuff. Yeah, I want to come back on your show, John. I know we did sort of
anytime,
sort of like a profile of me, but I want to come on and talk some fantasy with you, man. I want to definitely chop it up with you and Brian for sure.
It's a fun time. I really enjoyed it.
100%, dude. I'll get you on as soon as we can. We got some shows. We got some of those roster doctors scheduled, and then we'll get into a little bit more of actual team stuff, breakdown stuff as it gets closer to that. But you're more than welcome. Jeff, you're more than welcome to come on anytime you want.
Definitely.
You just say the word, and the doors are open.
Good stuff. All right, Ryan, what you got going on?
Obviously, find me here every Tuesday at Going for Two. Find me at Dynasty Draft Room. If you're in the Scott Fish Bowl, go to the pinned tweet on my Twitter account. It shows last year's players with the Scott Fish Bowl scoring compared to normal scoring, and it's huge differences. So if you're in it, take a look. I have a FFPC Pros versus Joes draft coming out. We have 6 spots open. It's a $250 Dynasty buy. It's the first year doing it, and there's some awesome people in it. Rich Rebar's in it. Drake Jordan, who's a phenomenal trash talker on Twitter. Most people know him now. So I'll be doing that, and that should be coming out tomorrow. And me and Jeff are going to be running an eliminator for Fantasy Cares. We still have a bunch of openings in that as well.
All right, yeah, good stuff. I mentioned it before, but I mentioned it again. We have a new sponsor at goingfor2.com. It's busr.com. If you visit busr.com/goingfor2 and sign up there, we are giving away a $250 fully funded account. It's a sports book, guys, so you can go on and bet on the Belmont Stakes. If you want to get that account and then wait until NBA comes back and bet on NBA. I went on there already and I bet on some of the NFL futures because I like doing that kind of stuff and just kind of put it there, forget about it. I did an Eagles one a couple years ago, won Super Bowl on that bet. I bet $5 literally, and I won like $180. So I was like, all right, whatever. So
nice.
NFL futures, first wide receiver drafted, take Rashawn Bateman plus 1,200.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. Ryan's got the tips there, so we're gonna have a tip show now and then. So good stuff. All right, guys. Hey, appreciate y'all coming on once again, and congratulations one more time to @JaxCommish for winning the FBX contest. I will definitely be reaching out to you on Twitter to give you the good news if you weren't watching the show tonight. For Joe, for John, for Ryan, I'm Jeff, and we'll see you next week.